So today we're going to make a really pretty rolled paper sunflower using my free SVGs that you can get from my resource library. You're going to want to import that SVG file into Design Space, and the steps for how to do that are in my blog post if you're not familiar with it, but it's pretty simple. Once you've got the files in Design Space, you're going to want to add it to your canvas, and the first thing you'll probably notice is that this flower actually has two pieces to it. There's two spirals. Those spirals are actually going to be grouped together when they come in, and you want to leave them that way even if you're going to resize it, so that the two spirals stay proportional to each other, which is really important for this project. Now we're going to cut the files in our Cricut machine like you normally would. This is with a fine tip blade, and the key here when you put the paper on your mat is to make sure to press down really hard and make sure it's pressed, clear to the mat all the way across so that as it's cutting it doesn't fall apart. Now I'm using pretty standard cardstock here. It's about 65-pound cardstock, but anything you've got on hand is fine. The two spirals that you see here are basically the outer petals, which are usually yellow on a sunflower, and then the inner part, the disc, which is brown. You can pick whatever colors you want though, that's just fine. Just make sure that you remember to set your Cricut machine to cardstock when you cut so that it cuts properly. Alright, now the next step here, and this is a little unique to this design, is that we're actually going to glue the two spirals together. So find the end of your yellow spiral and put some hot glue on there, and then connect that to the center of your brown spiral. You want both spirals to have the edges or the petals facing up. So your brown spiral will actually have the flap, the little circle at the very center facing down. Just hold it for a second to make sure that it's cooling and nice and tight together, because next we're going to roll it, and we want it to roll as just one piece. So grab your quilling tool if you're using one. You don't have to, but it's certainly a lot easier to have one. And insert the ends of your brown spiral into your quilling tool and just turn it inwards, curl it inwards like you would with any paper flower. If you're new to making paper flowers, I highly recommend you check out my other paper flower tutorial, but not necessary. It just provides a lot more detail, a lot more information if you're new to this. Alright, so we're going to curl the flower all the way. So get the brown part curled up, and then we're going to transition into the yellow part. It's all going to curl as one piece because we glued them together. Now when you get to the end, this part freaks some people out, but you're actually going to let go of it and loosen it a little bit. Some people worry that, you're going to unroll it, but that's okay. Don't worry. In fact, you're going to see we're going to almost completely unroll this thing in a moment. Alright, so the next step is to glue the brown inner part, the disc, together. So you're going to put some hot glue right at the very center of the brown part, and then pull the flap over it, and then hold it tight just until it cools a little bit to make sure that it's glued really well. And again, it doesn't have to be really super tight. In fact, it's better if it's just a little bit loose. I think it looks a lot better that way. Alright, now this next step is completely optional. You do not have to do this, but I really like the effect. We're actually going to score with our nail a line along the very center of each petal. And it's really easy to do. You're just going to basically, rub your thumb, the nail on your thumb across the center of each petal for just a split second, and do that really quickly across all of them. So we're going to just do that real quick, and as you see here, the yellow part of the flower is now completely unraveled. The brown part stays together because of that flap, and that's okay. We're going to get the flower back together in just a moment. Alright, now we're coming up to the end here, and once that's done, we're going to roll it back together, but we're just going to do that by hand. It's really easy to do because the paper's already been curled in the direction we want it. So here we go, we're just rolling it back together, and then in a second we're going to do the same thing we did with the brown flap. We're going to glue the yellow flap actually on top of the brown flap. So just put a drop of glue, just like we did before, and then press it against the brown flap and hold it there for just a quick second to make sure that it dries. Alright, now the next step is going to be to press each petal outwards. Now when we usually make a bloomed flower, like you see in some of my other videos, we actually curl the petals outward. In this case, since it's a sunflower, and a sunflower is much more open and really doesn't curl like a rosewood, we're just going to fold it back, and that's just super easy to do. As you can see, I'm doing it here on each petal, starting all the way on the outside and just going inwards. And as we get to the very center, it's a lot easier to just push down. So there you go, we're almost done. I really hope you love this flower and that you make a whole bunch of them. I cannot wait to see how your flowers turn out. Please be sure to tag me or send me your pictures. I can't wait to see how yours look. Hope you like this tutorial.